Good morning. Let us all stand. Let's pray. Father, we come this morning thanking you, Lord, for another day, for all your blessings, your goodness, and your mercy. And Lord, we ask now your blessings upon this meeting as they do the deliberations for the county. We thank you for our government, our citizens. Bless now, Lord, all that we do. It is in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll call our meeting for June 4th to order. And the first item would be the approval of our minutes from May 5th, 7th, 12th, and 19th. Page 1456 on May 5th. Where it says, Chairman Jordan stated the emergency meeting was called to discuss some legal and eco matters. Are you looking? That economic. I believe that's economic development issues. Also, May 12th, page 1472. The seventh paragraph. Commissioner Jernigan stated that he had just recalled that there were conversations about trying. Didn't complete that sentence.
Mr. Chairman, could we go back to page 1460?
All right.
I think the sixth paragraph, it said Mr. Brothers stated that the starting application was for his property. I think it's supposed to be Mr. Landry.
I think 60.
1460. I think it should be Mr. Landry. Where it says Mr. Brothers stated.
Yeah. Okay. Page 1474. First paragraph, the grammatical says, result of pay and class studies, 4 part-time positions. Need to delete the word but.
Paragraph.
The first paragraph, first sentence of the first paragraph. 4 part-time positions and 6 full-time. Delete the word but.
Mr. Chairman, on
Yes.
1476, under delegations unannounced, the last paragraph, it was talking about Mrs. Jimmy Hand's property. It should be Mrs. Hand's property, not Mr. I think it was Mrs. Jimmy Hand.
And 1485. Under first commissioner comment, the last sentence is incomplete. The only way you're going to know is to come and learn. Please come and learn what is going on in the county and bring your, for some reason it was left off. Any other corrections? Not, we'll call for a motion to approve the minutes as modified for May 5th, 7th, 12th, and 19th.
So moved.
Second.
All right, so motion second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. We have an agenda before us. First item on our agenda that needs to be modified will be item 6, a public hearing for the 2014-2015 annual budget will not be held today. We will call for a motion to hold that on June 16th at 7 p.m. The reason being that we had problems with the time of the advertising in the index last week. What is the pleasure of the board to move it to June 16th at 7 p.m.?
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion second. The public hearing will be June 16th at 7 p.m. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. All right. The next modification on the agenda will be item 8. Under item 9, Roman numeral 8, item 9, we need to add budget number 53, or revised budget 53, and 53A. Okay, if there are no other modifications, all right. Are there none others, we'll call for a motion to accept the agenda as modified.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Thank you. All right, the next item would be our delegations, our unannounced delegations. We have the sign-up sheet. Earl Lamb.
now that we got Linda on here, we got to say, ladies and gentlemen. I want to preface something to what I was here to talk about. I wanted to, hopefully that y'all, whether you agree, I hope you agree with me when I finish, because I'm going to offer a solution, I guess, in my opinion. But so often I realize that sometimes my opinion might not match other people's opinion, but I like to keep this thing open to questions. Most of the time I stand up here, other people talk, and they go sit down, nobody ever says anything. Some of the other county commissioner meetings, I went to 2 Monday night. I went to Chowan, left Chowan, rushed to Pasquotank, and had to do what I'm talking about today. Each commission works different. The Chowan County commissioners are very informal, and they like to talk a lot and ask questions, and they don't wear suit and ties, Kenny. You probably like being down there like me. But anyway, Sherwood back here, this one on my schedule, but it fits into what I'm getting ready to say. Because I saw this over the years, back when Sherwood, he mentioned the fact that years ago, that our counties, being up here in the Northeast, these small counties, really worked together. We shared a lot of stuff, didn't we? I mean, services, any way that we could share services, we did to save money. We all seem to get along good. And it has no reflection whatsoever on any of you, because I know y'all would like to do the same thing. But things have changed, and there's been some ideas in some of the other counties jockeying for position of being important. And I say this on the record in front of the camera, because I say this in Pasquotank and Chowan too, that it's become very difficult to work together. Now I'm going to go through this quietly, and as I remember this, it has to do with the funding of the DA and Public Defender's Office in Pasquotank County. I'm not an expert on this. I'm not sure that I can answer your questions, but I would like for y'all to leave here today knowing as much as I know. And if you know more than I know, then I can leave knowing more. But what happens, and I talked to Rodney Bunch, the manager over there, this Monday, matter of fact. We don't know when this happened, but I think at some point in time, the counties, there's 7 counties in the 1st Judicial District, and we are part of those 7 counties. With most of the counties, Chowan, Gates, Quinlan, and Camden, being the low population, smaller counties. And then you have Pasquotank, Dare, and Currituck, which are the 3 big ones. Dare has its own office, district attorney, even though they're in the district. But the other 6 counties, we've had to work together. Interesting thing about all of this, and back when Sherwood was on the board, there is no state law that says who's supposed to furnish the district attorney's office. Who's supposed to pay for it? And I asked the question to the county commissioners and everybody there Monday night. I said, Rodney, what would happen to the district attorney's office if Pasquotank County decided to quit funding it? And they have no answer to that. So, but we had all, Randy Keaton, who was the manager in Pasquotank for 25 years, a few years ago got what you would call, and Linda, this is an old term, so I'm going to use it, gentleman's agreement. But Linda's unique. She's the only female commissioner in Chowan, Pasquotank, and here, and she's the only one in those 3 counties. She's got help with Quinlan's. But the reason it was an agreement that was reached, nothing legal, nothing signed. It was just an agreement among the county managers and agreed to by the commissioners that each one would pay their fair share of the district attorney's office in Pasquotank. And I don't know exactly, and Rodney says he doesn't know exactly. Randy Keaton, who's now gone, No one knows what formula they used, but they used it based on population, the number of court cases that were being tried, and of course we came in at $15,000. I did have all the figures, Cal, and you can get them, but Chowan's a little bit more than that. Well, last year, the first thing that hit me was a newspaper article in the Daily Advance that quoted and said Gates County didn't pay their $15,000. Buried in the story was that Chowan and Currituck didn't pay theirs either. But Gates County's name was the lead story. Well, I went to the commissioner meeting, Kenny, and kind of upset. And I said, look, you know, what's going on here? And get some information. I wanted to see what was happening. But that's the way I learned about it, from the Daily Advance, from the newspaper, same place that the president gets his information, the newspaper. And so I called back over. As a matter of fact, I think I talked to Sandy Pittman and said, you didn't send the check, and I think her quote was that I was told not to. Well, I was here about a year ago, and I was defending, I guess, the county manager because Chowan and Currituck had not paid theirs. At the same time, we did go back on an agreement. We went back on our word. And I know Henry got calls from Gary White and maybe some more people. I don't know if any of the rest of you got any calls. I know Henry did. I hadn't talked to Henry, I don't think about it, but I know he had calls about it. And we let it go. And that's the way we are today. There is no law. There's nothing to make us pay it. We have to work that out with Pasquotank County. Now, Chowan County took the idea, well, why is it in Chowan County? I mean, why is it not in Chowan County? You know, they didn't give us an opportunity to have the district attorney's office there. Well, I've known 7 district attorneys in my lifetime, and the district attorney's office has always been in Pasquotank County, in Elizabeth City, because that's the center of the district and the biggest town. And it was just logical. It's always been there. But Z. Lamb, the county manager, is the one that actually started all of this. And Z was kind of strange, and I won't get into that on public TV, but Z got this thing started, and actually I think was the one that talked John Mendenhall into not paying the $15,000. So here's the deal. Ken Windley, I guess, you received a letter from Rodney, I don't know if it was signed by Rodney Bunch or not, concerning this issue, and you got a letter, and I don't know if they've seen it or not, requesting, I guess, to pay out $15,000. Got it Monday, that's right. You're supposed to have got it Monday. But anyway, here's my proposal, and this is just my proposal. I know I'm not the brightest star in the sky, but I don't think I'm the dullest either. But if Chowan and Currituck are not going to pay theirs, then I don't see how or why maybe we would pay it. I told Rodney Bunch, and I'll stick with this, I said you need to have a sit down with all the county commissioner chairmen and managers at a table together, Sherwood, so that everybody can sit there and talk back and forth. This letter writing and emailing might not get anything done. My proposal, and it makes sense to me, is to instruct the county manager to send Rodney Bunch in Pasquotank County a letter saying that Gates County will pay their fair share. $15,000. I guess that's what they were still asking for, was it, Ken? Close. Yeah. We will pay ours if all the other counties, if Chowan and Currituck would pay theirs. But if Chowan and Currituck is not going to pay theirs, then why should we have to pay ours? And I think that's the bottom line. It's the way I think it should be done. I think we should pay our fair share, but I don't see why we should pay out. This doesn't change in a year. And Chowan County was not at all receptive to the idea of paying it, even though Z. Lamb is left now. And Currituck, I hadn't been there. But that's my proposal, Ken. Do you understand what I'm saying? And make that perfectly clear, and then y'all can discuss it and see if it makes sense to you. But I think we should pay it because we agreed to pay it. And I think a man's word and a county's word should mean something. And it probably would have been paid, should have been paid last year, or at least brought up for discussion. I'm not sure that y'all ever really knew anything about it. That's all I guess I got to say, unless somebody's got a question about the DA's office and how it's funded.
All right, well, we appreciate it, and we'll certainly give it consideration. This did come up, and I think one of the issues to our board that we provide a space for DA office, and if we provide a space, it looks like we're doing double jeopardy, we're paying twice, but anyway, we'll talk about it again, and we'll see where we go from there.
Well, I think, I was here today that the now District Attorney Womble came here, and of course I could give him kind of a hard time, but I played the devil's advocate, but there's no hard feelings between me and him, but you could probably go online and look at that and find that out. But I think what that day, we got an office here that says DA's office. But in reality, what is that office? That's the office that somebody goes in on court day, I guess. But what we're talking about here, ladies and gentlemen, is a central DA's office with the law books, the computers, conference rooms where the DAs get together and decide what they're going to do on a particular case. And this is what we are renting. This is what we are paying for in Pasquotank County. And they moved them. They're in the what it is still new to us, me, the public safety building, and they got a new office. But you got to have all these assistant DAs and staff all there together. And the Mendenhall says we got an office here, but that's just a little room for them to go in. But the office we're talking about is where we sit down and y'all, as lawyers, decide whether or not we're going to indict Henry for murder, first degree or second degree. That is the office we're talking about, the central main office.
Thank you. All right, Renee Nichols?
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Ray Nicholson, and I'm the volunteership representative at the Extension Office here in Gates County. My job duties through SHIP is to provide help for senior citizens as well as disabled and helping them enroll in prescription drug plans known as Medicare Part D. Medicare Part D provides a variety of prescription drug plans, as some of you will know when you retire. If you don't have hopefully you have a good drug plan or retirement plan. Okay. Today I'm here to inform you about new services that SHIP has to offer for Medicare Part D. These services are called Extra Help, or LIS. And LIS stands for Low Income Subsidy. Low Income Subsidy helps lower or reduce or to no cost for the premium, deductibles, or co-insurance, and if qualified for full LIS, will have a range of $2.65 or $6.60. Anyone who is enrolled in Medicare Part D, keep in mind Part D, because Medicare has a long range from A all the way to P, as some of you know, and it's outrageous. But once again, I just deal with Part D in the county. Anyone who's enrolled in D can qualify for the low income subsidy. Now, to qualify for the low income subsidy, there's a lot of guidelines for it, which is based on the income, and the assets, and may be subject to change from year to year. It's very successful in this county so far. I've been doing it for a couple of months with just the LIS. I've been doing the Medicare Part D part for 2 years now in the county, and SHIP decided, well, Social Security and social services have been putting the clients to our office, so why not enroll them in it? So what we do now is we go onto Social Security website and we help the clients enroll in it. Now I find that now that I've been doing it, we have been saving almost 90% of the client's money, literally 90% of the money. They've been paying almost $100 and something a month towards their drug plan, and when they've gotten LIS, they have been paying literally $1 a month because of their low income that they have a month. And I think that's really great. I have a lot of success stories with it. One that particularly sticks in my head, and it brought me to tears one day, is I had a gentleman where he was over 80 years old. He switched his drug plan, which was in the enrollment period between October and December for Medicare Part D, because you can change every year with the drug plan. And he forgot to tell the pharmacy that he switched. So the pharmacy never asked him if he had a new card. So he came into me and said, well, I'm paying retail price for my prescriptions. And I says, well, how is that so? He says, I think that my prescription plan dropped me. So I put him in the system. I says, no, your prescription plan didn't drop you. So I sat there and I'm like, I don't know what's going on. A light bulb went off in my head and I said, okay, did you show them your new prescription card? He says, no. I got on the phone, I called his drug plan. I says, well, he's been paying his prescription full retail price. What can you do for him? They told him to get a printout from his drug, from the pharmacy. They gave him 6 months back pay of reimbursement. Then he's paying $2 for his prescription. Then I enrolled him in LIS. A week later, he was paying $0 from there forth on. So that was like a double blessing for him. So I really encourage my Medicare Part D to apply for LSI. It's a great program, and I'm really trying to reach out to the people in our community, the disabled and the senior citizens, because like I said, it's a great savings for the community. They don't know, and with your help, with the community, people who do know, I really need everybody's help to let these people know, because they come in here and they don't know about LSI. They really don't. And even with Medicare Part D, they do not know. People are on Medicare A and B for years and they do not know about Medicare Part D, and they're getting penalized. And I don't understand it. I haven't figured out why they're not being told about D when they have A and B. I still haven't figured that out. But here, like I said, once again, I'm new to the LIS, and I'm just trying to figure out a way to, we have been putting it in the paper, but for some reason, I don't know if people are not reading the paper. I'm trying to do word of mouth when I'm at the store. So I said, okay, well maybe let me come to the commissioners meeting and see if I can do it this way. But like I said, I'm based here at the extension office with Reba Green Holly. I've been doing, once again, Medicare for 2 years now, and the LIS, I've been doing it for about 2 months now, and I'm learning it. I'm trying to know it like my name, and I'm really trying to reach the people, the elderly, the disabled, so they can save a lot of money on their prescription plan. And I thank you for your time. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question? Ms. Nichols?
Yes.
Could you refresh our memory again on the LIS, what that stands for?
LIS is low income subsidy.
Low income subsidy. Okay. Have you held any seminars on it?
Nope. This is 2 months in. The only thing I have done is when we have like stuff at the community center or Mill Pond, I put displays up, and if people ask, or I give out brochures like I gave you guys the information. Churches, when they have the little health fair, I actually have a health fair on June 21st at New Hope. So I'm trying to reach the people that way. I'm trying to schedule the senior citizen home, I think is down east. I'm trying to schedule them to talk to the senior citizens there and the disabled there. So I'm really trying to get out to the people and let them know about this program.
Do you have any more of these for the audience?
Yes, I do. I actually do, yes.
May I ask a question? I know it's the low income subsidy. When they go to social services, do they refer people to you?
Yes.
Okay. I was just wondering,
Reaching in.
And even
I don't know if I would have gone to the extension for that. I would probably thought you would have gone to social services.
well, social services have been referring them to me, because I don't think, for some reason, I don't know if social services in the past, I thought that social services were doing it themselves, because these people can actually go online to Social Security and do it. But, you know, a lot of the elderly, they don't understand it, they don't realize what's going on, so, you know, SHIP decided, well, let's help them. We do Medicare D too, so let's help them with the LIS, so. Okay. Thank you.
We're privileged to have Mr. Cal Bryant with us today. Ms. Nichols, you may want to converse with Mr. Bryant at some point. Maybe you might be able to help us out as well. Okay. All right. Dr. Williams.
Good morning.
All right.
The budget released by the North Carolina Senate includes a lot of things, and preliminary estimates of the budget impacts 7,400 teacher assistants, 1,000 transportation employees, 1,000 central office workers, as well as hiring 788 additional early grade teachers as class sizes increase in grades K in 2 through 3. The Senate proposal includes devastating cuts that's going to harm learning experiences for our young kids in public schools, not just in Gates County, but across the state. The budget proposal calls for $333 million in cuts that will negatively impact students and public school operations unless local counties and taxpayers provide increased support to cover lost state funding. I'm here today before you and on the behalf of the Gates County Board of Education to say thank you very much for your commitment, your dedication, your focus, which is dialed in on education and our students. Wherever I go and when I speak, I always compliment our Board of County Commissioners because you really do show what's important and you really do help us out. And I just want to come over here and say thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. Appreciate that very much. I'll announce the delegations. Ms. Adrian Bradley, this is Adrian Bradley, Juvenile Crime Prevention.
Good morning to you all.
Good morning.
Morning.
I wanted to come make my annual visit over to share with you about the juvenile crime prevention funds that are allotted for Gates County. I think you've got several documents in a red folder there on the table. The first one I wanted to address, it looks like a spreadsheet. And it's titled, has Gates at the top with JCPC funding plan there at the top. Gates County is receiving $61,299 from it's through the North Carolina Department of Public Safety for juvenile crime prevention services. And we have received this amount of money for the last 4 or 5 years, so we're pleased that it was not cut. You'll see at the top of your sheet there that they have rate 20% local match. One of these programs, the Alternatives for Youth program, is located within Gates County School System, and we are doing a local in-kind match. There you see of $6,800. And then the other program, Genesis and Restitution, that program is based out of the Cooperative Extension Service, and they are doing their local in-kind match of a little over $5,700. So I always say the good news is that we're not asking for any additional funding from the county. We can provide the match by in-kind. So I would ask that you would approve the JCPC County funding plan. Also in your folder, there's a certification. You see DPS in red. Well, yours is a black and white copy. But DPS is at the top of it, and it says certification. So this, we complete this each year. It talks about what our membership is, how often we meet, do we have bylaws, what do we do for planning. So this document, we do ask for a signature from the chairman of the Board of County Commissioners. It doesn't have to have approval from the board, just the signature. The last document in your red folder is our 2014-2015 county plan. And just to briefly highlight, I mentioned to you earlier, the Alternatives for Youth program is based within the school system. We have a social worker who's hired to work with youth who are at risk. That particular program, the risks that are addressed, we address the risk of negative peer associations, serious school behavior problems. The protective factor that this program enforces is school motivation and bonding, increased social competence, and social efficacy. And so the social worker meets one-on-one with students who either she has identified or students who have been referred to us, maybe from the school resource officer or from the juvenile court counselors. And she provides individual and group sessions to help improve social and life skills among those participants. The other program, again, that I mentioned to you, Genesis, they focus on tutoring. The risk that they address is negative peer associations and academic failure. The protective factor that they're trying to put in place is school motivation and bonding, positive peer interactions, academic success, and high accountability. So within the program done there at Cooperative Extension, they also have a restitution piece for young people who have gotten in trouble and learn that they need to give back and work to pay back for things that they have done wrong. So I will pause to see if you all have questions at this point. One other thing that I'd like to mention, both programs target students ages 7 through 17 years old. Do you have questions of me?
How many students are involved in each of these programs?
Within the Genesis program, I think they probably have about 50 to 60 students who are enrolled in their program. Within the Alternatives for Youth program, we have approximately 10 students that Ms. Edwards works one-on-one with. She actually goes out to the homes and does some interaction with the family. So hers are more one-on-one counseling sessions.
You said it was for 7 to 17.
That's
Does the social worker that's at high school go to the all schools, or?
She does. She has students who are at the middle school, and she has been called out to one of the elementary schools. Within the Genesis program, they target the male, target working with young men.
Out of Reva's office, the in-kind support there, is it the overall office or is it a particular individual?
Mr. Donald Hendricks is the gentleman who provides services for Genesis.
Okay.
So,
I was curious, is he full-time with her?
I was thinking that Reva might be here today. I believe that he is full-time out of her office, but I think he may also work with some other programs that Reva has.
Ken, this funding is already in the budget. Board, I believe that once we approve the budget, you don't need this signature before we approve the budget on the 16th, do you?
I do, if it's all right, I would like to get the signature because I need to get it back to my regional consultant so she can get it back to the state.
That's normal for them.
Okay. All right, since this is going to be separate from the budget approval, I would ask that the board authorize the signature on the certification document that we can sign it today.
I make that motion.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Thank you all.
Okay, Next item, we have administrative reports, our county manager report.
County manager reports on page 39 and 40 in your agenda. First thing is, I've been working on with the owners of the old Sunbury School for the rehab of that and turning it into a facility for apartments for the elderly. And we worked with the owners on the pre-application and full application, and recently went over for a state inspection of that facility, actually this week. It's based on the number of jobs, and the grant is worth $60,000 to help with the construction and rehabilitation. Covenants for Merchant Commerce Center, I met with Al Carey on May 13th and drew up a list of actually 11 things not needed. Number one, things not needed in the park, and 2, requirements of the developer and anyone who builds there. And this was all given to the county attorney for inclusion in a protective covenants for that project. I've worked with municipal engineering to develop the first portion of the contract to evaluate the property for spray irrigation and treatment plant, and that was approved on May 19th. On May 13th, I met with the Albemarle Rural Planning Organization in Gates County to review the transportation survey that will be going out for the water billing, and we haven't got the results back from that yet. On budget meetings, obviously, after the commissioners reviewed the budget, I met with department heads to explain their individual budgets. And as time allows, I'm working on zoning amendments and water policy changes over the last 5 years, plus issues with the subdivision ordinance. The subdivision ordinance changes go to the planning board this month. Economic development incentives, I'm in the process of reviewing incentives that were proposed for Gates County, comparing them to other counties, and continue to do that work. I will continue to serve as county planner, and I met with the planning board on May the 20th, and met with the technical review committee yesterday to review text amendments yesterday with the subdivision ordinance. And the technical review committee recommended about 11 or 12 changes to the subdivision ordinance that will go to the planning board. And that's a brief summary, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. Any questions for the county manager?
I'd just like to make a comment about something I shared over the phone with Ken. We had an elderly citizen here in the county had a sort of unusual situation, I believe, with a water cutoff. And Ken and Timmy were very helpful in getting that resolved to get the water back on. But one of the things I just wanted to bring before the board, I mentioned to Ken that is there a way, if we have someone who's on dialysis, if we have someone who is has a caregiver or something like that, or maybe even a certain age period where we had a letter at the end of their account. You know, let's say our water accounts are 6 digits long, and we had a letter at the end to when there was a cutoff that we might make an extra effort to see this is an unusual situation, what's really going on here. And Ken might want to elaborate on it.
Yeah, there is that possibility, even if it's a modification of the software, it's something that needs to be done.
I know in some areas that have a next of kin, if something already listed on the bill, so if the bill goes unpaid, that they are notified, because as people age, sometimes things slip through the cracks. I know some counties do it that way.
Anyway, ask Ken to
No,
look
not
into
someone
it.
else.
I guess you will let us know something a little later.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Good idea. Mr. Jordan,
Yeah.
Mr. Winley, you said you had a TRC meeting yesterday. Was that a regular scheduled meeting? I thought they met on the third Tuesday.
It was not a regular scheduled meeting, but I wanted to go ahead and get some information to them so I could take it to the planning board. related to the subdivision ordinance. And anyway, so, and they were kind enough to meet and go ahead and handle that. So I can get it to the planning board this month.
Did that have to be publicized?
Do any vote?
Yes, and I believe it was supposed to be publicized, let me say that, supposed to be. I'll have to check and make sure it was.
I think when you look at the general statutes, I have to pull it, but boards that are an extension or authorized by the county commissioners, it addresses that. You take the housing committee, not the housing committee, but the old courthouse committee. That's an extension of the board, but we haven't publicized that, so I think we have to look at the general statutes and make sure if there is a requirement for that board to advertise. I really don't know if we've ever advertised TR meetings.
Well, I think it's in our zoning book, something about the regular scheduled meetings that is going, at a certain time frame. I'm just asking the question.
Like the Board of Adjustments and the TNR. Have any of you all ever seen it advertised? I'm not sure if we've ever.
I mean, that
We have to make notification, and it may not be advertised, but it has to be at least notified, but usually it has to be notified.
Yeah. Yeah, but the normal process, what I'm talking about, is putting an article in the paper.
Well, I just know that we generally have them on the second Tuesday, the 3 meetings.
That's correct.
And so that's, one right to develop it, basically. And I thought that was in the ordinance, the regular schedule.
Yeah, they do have regular schedules, but you can have special meetings.
Well, I understand that, but there still has to be some type of notification.
That's correct.
All right. Anything else, Mr. County Manager?
No, sir.
All right, our next item will be the finance and tax report. Finance Department.
If you all have any questions on the information that's included, regular monthly reports, the quarterly report, and the amendments that were done in administrative were in there as an FYI.
I did have one question. Why is the unemployment insurance line item so out of kilter for all of our departments? A major number of them have overruns in their unemployment insurance.
This year, the unemployment insurance changed. This was the first year of their new system, and the governor revamped the entire unemployment system. The numbers that we had at the beginning of the year were estimates. Previously, once a year, we would get a bill for any unemployment charges that we owed. They're working away from that system. They now require us to pay 1% upfront of our salaries up to $20,000, and they take that and it now sits in an account. This year, we had to pay the 1% for 2013, and we had to start over in January and pay it for 2014, and they sent out bills for the previous years. So when we had estimated high but not high enough, so we received the bill and we had to pay that 1% twice, so it has thrown all the numbers off kilter. The budget amendments that we've got as an FYI and administrative amendments that we've done have covered most of those issues. But there were 2 or 3 departments that had really high numbers because we not only had the 1% we had to pay twice, but we received that bill in the fall and also bumped those numbers up even higher. Hopefully next year, they said we may get one more bill next year and then we should smooth out. So hopefully things will be a little better and we'll be able to predict that number a little better starting next year.
All right. Any other questions for our finance director and officer?
Budget for 14-15 already got that new situation reflected in it, or?
We hope that 14-15 will have to pay the 1% once instead of twice.
Good.
We have no way of knowing what a bill might be if it does come in or if we'll get one. We won't know that until the fall, and if we do, then we'll address that when the bill comes in.
All right, we'll do the budget amendments later.
Like I said, the FYI administrative amendments were in that part of the reports. If you have questions, I'll be glad to answer those. If not, we can go over the ones that need your approval later.
Okay, tax report.
Good morning.
Wait, morning, Renee.
You have your collector's report, and if y'all don't have any questions in reference to that, I really don't have anything to add. We have recently requested an update from Zacchaeus Legal Services as to the accounts that we have with them and where they stand as far as complaints being filed and that sort of thing. And we did not put a copy of that in your packet, but what we will do is email a copy of that spreadsheet to each of you so you can see the accounts that are in with Zacchaeus Legal Services and where they stand. And also, I believe one of the budget amendments that Sandy will be reviewing with y'all later is mainly, one of them from my office is, the largest part of that is in reference to our business personal property audits, where we had provided, I believe it was maybe $2,000 to $2,500 in the budget for those fees. But in essence, this past year so far, we have paid out $8,169.89 for these audits to county tax services. But in reference to that, as of right now, we have billed out $32,472.63. Of that, $28,999.40 has been paid. And the $8,169.89 is a percentage of that $28,999.40 that has been paid. The way they work with their, or the current contract we're under, is we actually do not pay them until the taxpayer has paid us. So, but that will help you understand a little bit about the upcoming budget amendment that Sandy will discuss with you. And I also wanted to let you know, as of right now, we are scheduled to send out the 2014 tax bills on July 15th, unless something changes. And you also have one request for refund. This taxpayer, we received a payment through the debt set-off program for them, and they, in the meantime, came in and paid the taxes. So they have requested the $101.30 be refunded to them.
All right. What is the pleasure of the board on the request for refund? So move to be refunded.
Second.
I have a motion second to approve it. All in favor, aye? Aye. All opposed, nay. Okay.
And I believe Melissa probably has the original for that for you to sign, Mr. Jordan.
Okay.
Okay. Y'all don't have any questions?
How is Travis doing?
Slow. We have paid him a portion of the bill he sent for the accounts that we asked back, that we turned over to Zacchaeus. There were several of those accounts, I believe maybe 8 or 9 of them, that I questioned his fee because it had increased from the previous report we had gotten from him. And I asked for detailed listings of those accounts, and I have not received that as of yet. So, but we're still getting a little bit of money from him, but he's really not pushing the accounts that we left with him like we'd like for him to.
All right.
Any other questions? If not, thank you.
All right, that's it. All right, we have also in our package our personnel reports, departmental reports. No correspondence. There was one I had, the PCG Landfill Commission. I have a note here. Are there any dollars involved with that?
Yeah.
They are. What would they be?
Well, PCD is part of the whole bigger operation, but the landfill commission just makes recommendations to the multi-county, big multi-county operation. So it's all tied into the one big operation, the landfill commission. It's all tied into the big operation.
Like to find it. Okay, yeah, there it is.
What page is that?
Looks like page 193, I guess. 191. Says the proposed priority explanation and details of capital expenditures associated with PCG.
Yeah, this is from the three-county meeting that was held the other day. And this is the information that's going to be going on to the larger organization as a recommendation from the three counties.
All right, and I see in each one, for Gates County, $20,725 for all sites. Install 3-phase power improvements to the Deeper site, $17,725 to the Dominion portion, $35,000 to pave one site in the county. Those funds are coming from us, right?
Yeah, that's part of the capital funds that they get for the fees that they charge.
Okay, that's the same what we normally budget for?
Yes.
All right. Any other questions on those? All right, we've got our articles of interest in county calendar. If there's no comments, we'll move forward. We have the old business. New business, we have an agreement with the Virginia Employment Commission that we need to address. That's the resolution.
This agreement, it's an information sharing agreement. I thought Jeff would probably be here to discuss that. But it's an agreement that Social Services has with the Virginia Employment Commission each year to share information, so to make sure people are properly eligible for services.
I think that requires a signature, is that right?
Yes, sir.
All right, if we've looked that over,
They charge $5 per request of information.
page 204, and 202 to 204, please. All right, what is the pleasure of the board?
Chairman, I move that we adopt the ordinance.
We have a motion.
Second.
Motion second, we adopt the ordinance and agreement with Commonwealth Virginia Employment Commission. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Okay. All right, the next is the Gates County Chamber of Commerce Memorandum of Agreement. That's going to be page 217 and following, I guess.
Yeah.
I looked this over, and under item A, on page 1 of the resolution, I felt that there should be an item 5. Of course, we don't have Pitt here today, our county attorney. I also felt that we should add that Gates County shall not be held liable for any content on the web page that may result in legal litigation. We have the right in here to remove and observe. So what if something gets through and there's legal litigation filed as a result of that? I mean, the county should be held harmless in those cases.
It's a good idea.
Hold harmless.
Harmless.
You want to amend the agreement with that, Mr. Chairman? I think that would be good.
All right. Anything else? Anybody else have? Okay. There's no other amendments. Then we would call for a motion to accept the resolution with the amendment to hold Gates County harmless for any litigation that goes forward as a result of this website.
Discussion, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Should we wait for it to come back from the attorney before we approve it? I was looking to see if there was any time element to it. Kind of imagine, I didn't see one.
There's not any. If you'd like him to review it, bring it back, we can do that.
I think it might be good.
I can agree with it also.
I will table this until county attorney has an opportunity to review it and concur with the recommended addition. All right. For the sake of our minutes, I think we need to make that motion.
Table.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we table the memorandum of agreement with the Chamber of Commerce until the hold harmless verbiage can be put in the document and reviewed by our attorney. And I also move that we address it at our next meeting.
I second that.
All right, so motion second. Agreement be tabled. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Okay, thank you. Okay, next item, be our budget amendments 37, 39, 41 to 43, 52, 53, 58, 53A.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm sorry, we have a 35 also.
That might be one of the FYIs.
Yes.
Yeah, because there are several duplications since I showed them.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't see how the packets were set up, but there were numerous amendments that were in there as an FYI. And then the ones that are listed by number under new business are the ones that you all need to vote on and approve. The one that is not in there, going through the numbers, is number 40. If you'll notice, that number was missing. That's the one that you all approved at the May 19th meeting, dealing with the funds to cover the HVAC replacements. So as you go through the numbers, that's the one number that's not included in these. Okay, so I'll go through them one by one. Amendment number 37 is to budget for the final EMPG payment
The EMPG grant, we received part of the money earlier in the year, and then usually around the end of May, we get one final payment, and we never know what that amount will be until May. So we always have to budget that at the end of the year and do a cleanup for it. So that's what that amendment is. Number 38 is to amend the budget for our Medicaid transportation program, which is fully reimbursable. So the revenue and expenditures there are grant money. There's no county funding there. Number 39 is the same, but for the crisis intervention and LEAP program through DSS. Those are also reimbursable funds. Number 41 is a little bit larger. Our projections for our sales tax revenues have come in a little over $50,000 or so more than we had anticipated, and we are using these funds to try to backfill some of the budget shortfalls that we have. With the reorganization and some changes that were made to the budget during the budget process last year, we have numerous shortfalls that we're trying to complete and fill in, and that's what these are. Part of that, the central administration salaries, obviously to cover the transition there in the county managers, financial services, the hospitalization and unemployment. The hospitalization is the increase because we brought Carol on full-time. Unemployment, we talked about earlier. The professional services for the audit was a little higher than we had budgeted last year. It usually goes up, maybe $1,500 or so per year. The contracted services and telephone and postage lines cover the water bills, the utility billing, and the estimates from last year were not high enough to cover those. So that's why those numbers were out of whack.
Is the old courthouse in there?
For telephone and postage.
I mean,
No.
telephone.
This is strictly for the financial services department.
Okay.
I believe that central administration has enough money in their phone line to cover those changes.
I see we're subheadings now. I'm
Yes,
back on
it
track.
was difficult to try to do it in a way that was easy to follow. The tax department, the salaries was to cover the anticipated pay and class study that I believe is going to go before the personnel board this month. Motor vehicle fees has been an estimate all year. We think we have narrowed that down to where it needs to be, but the way the state is doing that billing, it's difficult to estimate. Professional services, Renee's already covered. Office equipment maintenance, advertising and bonds and dues were things that were changed during the budget process last year that need to be corrected. The elections department, those last two lines are the same thing. Those were lines that were cut during the budget process that we've now gotten to the end of the year, and we know what those numbers are going to be pretty close, so we're trying to backfill those as well. Are there any questions on that one? I know there's a lot on that one page.
All right.
Okay. All right, number 42, this is to transfer an additional $100,000 from the general fund and the water fund each to this wastewater project. I know that we're going to deal with that later on, but this amendment was done prior to the new numbers being received from Mike McAllister to cover money that we have already spent that we will not receive grant funds for before the end of the year. We were anticipating some grant drawdowns that we are not going to get by June 30th, so we need to cover those expenditures until we receive those grant funds. And at that point, we can transfer those funds back to the general fund to reimburse these dollars. Number 43, the generator transfer switch project has been going on for a couple of years. We have received a third grant to cover this project and additional costs related to it. The $71,644 is from the 2013 Homeland Security Grant. We also have the 2012 and 2011 in this project. There's no additional county funds here, it's just grant money that we need to be able to expend. The next one I have for your approval is number 52. At the top, there are some additional revenues that we did not budget that we expect to receive. And then we also have some lapsed salaries in the Register of Deeds line that we need to expend.
These funds are needed to cover capital improvement projects that were planned for, and that fund needs additional money. We have purchased some radios, and Billy Wynn is not here. Ken may be able to fill you in more on the radios that we have purchased for all departments to be able to communicate in case of an emergency. And then we also have the remaining Tyco contract for the administration building to allow the swipe cards and the access and security cameras as we've done in this building and the school buildings. So the additional $25,000 will cover the $19,000 for the radios and about a $6,000 shortfall for that Tyco contract. The one other piece to this puzzle is that part of the radio purchase involves some discussion about the concrete building that's in the parking lot down here. The company, I think is it Southeastern, that we purchased, Southeastern Cable, that we purchased the radios from, they would like to buy that concrete building. And we've done surplus forms that will come before you at one of the next meetings to handle that, and we're hoping to get some funds from that building to cover some of these costs. That's not going to happen this fiscal year, so we had to budget to cover the whole cost, and hopefully we'll be able to get that part straight early next year.
Sandy,
Yes, sir.
just on these radios, they could not come out of the E911.
No, sir. They're not eligible. We did buy us several radios, I think 2 years ago when they opened up the 911 funds for some costs. And we did purchase some Viper radios for that, for I believe the fire departments and emergency services. These are separate radios from that purchase. The last two amendments I have, in your packets originally, there was a budget amendment number 53. We want to destroy the original version of that, and I've replaced it with the ones that were emailed to you yesterday and also included, I believe, at your at the table this morning, at 53 and 53A. Putting everything together, I think, was too confusing and made the numbers look different than what they really are. Budget amendment number 53 is to budget the additional funds from the general fund and the water fund to cover increased costs that are estimated for the wastewater treatment facility project. According to municipal engineering, we need an additional $686,200 to finish this project. This amendment shows the fund balance appropriated from each of those two funds for $343,100. And then it shows that money being transferred to the project. If you go to Amendment 53A, this amendment actually amends the project budget. It shows the money coming in from those two funds, and then it shows the reallocations and the increases in the line items for expenditures in that fund.
And yet, I don't have a 53. I have a 53.
And I can go through it line by line. The legal line, we expect to, at the end of the project, to expend about $5,200 less than what we had originally budgeted. The engineering, we expect to come in at about $68,300 less than what was budgeted. The grant planning and administration is being increased by $19,500. The purchase of the land has been added. There was not a line for that originally. It was included in the construction costs. We've broken that out now to show the $200,000. The advertising costs are expected to be less, so we've reduced that line by $6,800. A lot of that has been included in the engineering and construction budgets. And then the construction line will be increased by $547,000.
Sandy, on this 53, this $686,200 is non-refundable money coming out of the county.
Yes, sir. At this point, we do not have grants in place to reimburse those funds to the county. I understand that municipal engineering is researching grants that may be available, but at this time, those grants are not in place.
So, let me rephrase the question. The answer may be the same.
Okay.
The existing grants that we have on the acquired,
Yes,
none of those dollars can be used,
correct. Those dollars have already been accounted for. These are additional dollars.
additional dollars.
Yes, sir.
So there's no, so we're not talking about recoupment at the end. You know, I know we have in certain situations we've discussed, we've had to spend the dollars first to receive later.
Right.
So there's none of that in this.
No, sir, this is increased cost to the county. There was a page included in the email and hopefully at the table this morning that kind of summarized the budget, had the 3 columns. And what I did was outline what the original budget was. We amended it in March of 2012. And then if if the amendment today is approved, this is what the budget would look like as of today after this amendment.
So looking at that last page in this packet, construction costs have gone up about $500,000.
Yes, ma'am.
And that, if I'm reading all of this right, correct me if I'm wrong, but that brings the total cost to the county for this private project out here, $1,457,695.25. That is county money, non-refundable.
Yes, sir, those are the projected costs. And I included also the estimated cost sheet that was provided to us from municipal services so that you know where the figures have come from. And I believe there was about $140,000 included as a contingency in there.
Let me ask Sandy that the construction costs, the grants that we have, we will be able to utilize those funds to cover this when we reach that point of being able to get reimbursed for them. And, this cost is not something that could not be included in it. It's just that what we have currently now will not cover it. So what I'm saying is that if we get a grant at the end or later, which we're pursuing now, it would still cover those costs. We're not saying that these costs were added on at the end, and so, something that may not be eligible. These are construction costs that could be used even on our current grants, but our current grants won't cover all of it. We can get additional grants to cover that.
Correct. At this time, we're working with municipal services to decide which grants are going to reimburse which costs. But overall, the total project costs, you had a sheet that looked like this today at the table that Billy requested yesterday, and it kind of outlines the total cost of the project, how much of that is reimbursable from the grants and how much is the county funding. And that's where Billy got that number. We have right now $2.15 million in grants to cover this project, and anything over that will be county dollars unless there are additional grants received. If we apply for and receive additional grants, then we can go back and back fund these dollars and reimburse the general fund and water fund for dollars that have come out to cover those costs.
The total estimated cost is $3,607,695.25.
That's correct.
Mr. County Manager, in working with municipal, and I know you've already been working with them, in working with the municipal about applying for grants that we don't already have, we've certainly mentioned the overall cost, even if those dollars have been spent. For example, in the scenario here, we would mention dollars already spent in our grant as well.
And that's correct, and you would already have, if it needed matching money, you'd already have matching money budgeted.
Okay.
Okay. have our budget amendments before us. Sandy, you want to call those numbers out?
Yes, sir.
Are we going to do them separate or all of, aren't we?
Mr. Chairman, my pleasure would be that we certainly keep 53A, let it stand on its own merit,
53 and 53A
53
separately.
and 53A.
Yes, sir.
The others, I'm okay with.
Okay, so I have number 37, which was the EMPG funds, number 38, which was the Medicaid transportation funds, 39 was the crisis and LEAP funds, 41 was the additional sales tax revenue, backfilling, central administration, financial services, tax and elections. 42 was the funding to be forwarded to the wastewater project to be reimbursed from grants. 43 was the increased funding for the generator transfer switch project. And then number 52 was increased revenues to transfer to the CIP fund to cover the projects.
All right, we have budget amendments 37, 38, 39, 41, 42, 43, and 52. What is the pleasure of the board?
Make a motion to approve those.
Second.
All right, the motion is second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Okay. Budget 53 and 53A. Now, 53 covers the additional cost as a result of the required land purchase and also the additional cost for the construction. Now, I might add on 53A, what we originally budgeted on the engineering, we're coming in less, and also under advertising, we're coming in less, as well as legal. So the $80,000 is subtracted from that 766.5. That $500,000 is in reality is not that. We subtract that 80,000. And also the land acquisition is something that we had talked about in the past. We knew that was something that would come up. And we would have to make provisions for that. But Sandy, clear me up. Now the 1.4, under the current budget, the county's part was 900,000.
The 1.44, are you referring to the total county cost that Commissioner Felton mentioned earlier?
What was the county part before the increase?
Well, the project budget included about $440,000. Part of that is the costs that were spent on this project prior to the project budget being put in place. There was about $336,000 expended on this project out of the water and general funds prior to the project budget ordinance being put in place. So those figures are included in these totals. And Commissioner Felton has asked also that the $12,000 for the expansion of the lake or the pond be included as well. So that does include that $12,000. So the sheet that you got, I believe, this morning, that summary, that's where he's getting those figures, and that's where those figures have come from.
You're adding all of those expenses to it.
Yes, sir. Includes the project budget and anything that was expended outside of the project budget itself.
All right, we have the budget amendment 53 and 53A. that needs to be addressed to be able to go forward in the project. What is the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve budget amendment 53 and 53A.
All right, got a motion.
I'll second that motion.
All right, the motion is second, that we approve budget 53 and 53A. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay.
No.
All right, thank you much.
Mr. Chairman, I might be ruled out of order, but I just would like to know, I've been sitting here listening, what are we talking about this $3 million here for this project? What project are we talking about, and what is this? I pay taxes in this county, and I just don't understand where this money is going. You mind explaining to me where this money is going, and for what?
Yeah, we can meet with you afterwards and get you up on it, but in general, just a general synopsis of what we're doing. The county applied for over $2 million for grants to upgrade the wastewater treatment system that we have, that we applied from the state, that supports the Commerce Park development. And we have about $2.5 million. At this particular time, we've got another engineering company, and there are some differences in what their projected cost would be. And obviously, we have to have those covered in the budget before we can move forward. So that's what this is about. We'd be happy to explain to you in more detail. Some of the things that we might have to discuss may be a little bit, you can't disclose but so much on what a business is going to do prior to actual, it come to the point where it can be disclosed as public information, but we'll give you as much as we can. But that's a gist of it.
Are we talking about work?
How about let's come to the podium if you don't
I've
mind.
got a back call.
Okay.
Y'all can hear that. Are we talking about work that is to be done tonight, or work that's already been done that we owe for?
Well, some of the work is what we've done, and some of it will be covered in the next phase. But we have grants out there to cover much of this cost.
Well, the projected cost, how much is not going to be covered?
Well, that's just what we were just talking
Well,
about.
it's beginning to look like the next kind of done double the cover, what it's putting out there. Private enterprise, depending on the kind, I've got water money, I've got general fund money.
Yeah, and that's one, Mr. Easton, that's one of the things why it's difficult to get in a public discussion about certain costs that are projected, that are projected business costs and involve businesses, because, until it comes to fruition, you really can't disclose a lot of that.
Sometimes it's time to bail out. I don't know all that's going on. I really haven't paid that much attention to things in the past, but it's starting to come to light. I tell you, why do people get into this? To make money. Gates County is like the hub of a wheel. You've got businesses all around us. You've got Hoskin, you've got Franklin, you've got Suffolk and what it stands beyond. You've got Luther City, you've got Eaton, Hertford. I might have missed somebody. You may have talked to somebody say that they go to Limit Rapid cheaper than they could, quicker than they could go to some places in town. For business to survive, it's got to have a population base. I've heard it said in other ways, it's got to have a population base. When people go to a Hoskin or a doctor's appointment to buy a car or whatever, they're going to shop a little while over there. It's been a trend in Gates County over the years that that's the way people do some good at Franklin, some good at Suffolk, Clipper City. You are never gonna have so much business in Gates County, no matter how hard you try. We've got private businesses that have done things on their own and made it. If you've got to subsidize a business so much, once those subsidies run out, what are they gonna do, fold? I've heard something about a extended living, a nursing home or something that's supposed to come out here. Maybe it's my understanding you have a certificate of need, so I wondered why you never got a certificate of need, somebody's not jumping on it. If I understand it right, you get this for Gates County, can't go somewhere else. It's my understanding when we got Chinese, half of that went for Queens, we got half. I know a couple of commissioners haven't heard some things. I know we've got some commissioners that are gone. I know that the ones that are gone, one was a little tight with one county manager, one was a little tight with another county manager. I don't think everybody was always working together, sharing information. A board really needs to work together. A county manager needs to work the board. People need to know what's going on. I think there's been some problems with that in the past. Hopefully some of it's better. I know we had times when certain commissioners were bickering back and forth in here. This board is not a place for that. If you've got a problem with somebody handling on the outside, if you sit behind that table, whether you like somebody or not, it's Gates County. It's not how much you like the person beside of you. And if I said something that's offended somebody, I'm sorry. Ken, you've been with us twice. I've never heard one person say anything against you, and I certainly appreciate all you've done for us. I'm just wondering, can Gates County ever recover from what's going on out there? The water system, when we got into the water system, if you use water, you pay for water. If you didn't pay. It was one of the fairest things we've ever had. So we're getting at a point now where that water system is being used to help subsidize other things that maybe were supposed to be like water sewer and all that. I thought it would be developed and then if it went on the water system. Now the water system is having to develop that. We're at a point now where you just will say people are paying inflated water bills to help fund these other things. If you don't have enough money to do general fund things, they need to be taxed through the general fund. It's two different lists of people. When you start using too much of that water fund, or the water users are paying an unfair share. So, I've been in things I hated to give up. Sometimes I could work my way out of it, and sometimes I couldn't. Sometimes it comes to the point of failing out. Gates County, I don't want to sound pessimistic. I remember years ago, every time you turn around, somebody would say, businesses want to come here and the commissioners run them away. I've heard that more than one time. But facts are facts. People get in business to make money. You've got to have a population base. People that are in business don't even have to come here. They can get on the internet or whatever, look at the population. They can see what Bidrin community up here in Virginia that they want to set up. They know they've got to get away. The tier system, and maybe 3 tiers instead of 5. I don't know. But we are used to traditionally had a high per capita income compared with some of the other counties. Higher than Hertford County. Okay, Hertford County qualified for a lot of that help from the state or whatever. They had to high side of the road, where they had the railroads. And once you get away, then it's more labor force available. We're just in a place yet, I ain't pessimistic, but we done have problems always getting business. Our biggest hope of getting business right now would be because of 4-lane and Highway 13 businesses connected with some of these other businesses. And in fact, I know when UCOR and FedEx in Greensboro were coming back, state made 20-year commitments. And one of them was to get UCOR to Unstate. You can see that anywhere. FedEx in Greensboro took much longer. They had to get rid of homes and all that. But 20-year commitment from the state, is my understanding. And much as I'd like to see things shine and things better, and yes,
I recognize on the outside, on the outside looking in, and I can appreciate the fact, and I know all of the board can appreciate the observations you're making, and it is difficult. And certainly, you know, as any board, this board weighs the options of what to do and whether or not it's going to be most feasible, whichever way to go. You know, we've never looked at this thing as something that you go ahead no matter what. And believe you me, this board has made considerations, and every decision is not going to be one that everyone agrees with. But at the end of the day, my interest, and I know the interest of this board, is for the best for the citizens of Gates County.
See,
I know when you
what I understood of what we have right now, we can still get a nursing home or whatever. We can do certain things with what we already have. You know, you have to watch out with private developers. All of them are not much above boards. Anyway.
Chairman Jordan, if I can address Mr. Easton's first question. First, I have to disagree with the statement made earlier. I do believe that all this information should be made public. I think the public, the citizens, the taxpayers need to know what's going on, how much money is being spent out of their pocket and where it's going. To answer your first question that you were asking, was this how much more money on top of what's already been spent? The way that this form is presented is on top of what's already been spent that is non-refundable. It's another $686,200 that was just approved by majority vote here just a few minutes ago to be added to that, which brings the total up to $1,457,695.25. That is all money out of the county funds, county taxpayers' money, and water fund money that is being spent to fund this private development down the road called Merchants Commerce Zone.
Well, the thing about it, we've got, Commissioner Feldman, we've got 2 schools and a community center on the sewer system as well. So, you know, it's not just for private development. And, you know, when you look at what's been spent, the county has put some money in for phase 1. And if you don't go forward, you're going to lose a lot more money than what's been put out there, because you won't be eligible to even tap in on the grants that you have. We've got a $350,000 grant now that we've already used, and if you don't go forward, you're going to have to pay that back. So you're going to end up spending more Gates County dollars in the long run if you shut it down now than what you would probably do if you move forward. So it's a decision that has to be made.
I was thinking maybe there were 2 phases. You'd been through one phase and then this was another phase. I remember something in the paper a few years ago that Mr. Jennings said, I think. He was very concerned that if we got too deep or went too far, something didn't work, we were going to run into trouble. I have to pay some money back. I think it was something of that nature. He had a lot of concern.
Mr. Chairman, phase 1 will cover the schools and will cover the assisted living place. This is not, we got that covered already. The school, the library, the credit union, and the assisted living place for phase 1.
I beg, the difference is that we don't have the capacity right now. We're at 80% capacity, and state law says that when you have that, you have to have a contingency plan. And the contingency plan would be what we've done with required the spray field. So there's, if you had the capacity, great, but you don't have it. That's the issue. And to get the capacity that we have, we had to go to the state to get them to approve the actual usage of the assisted living rather than using what the state code calls for. That's right, Kevin.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Well, the system we've got now will not support the nursing home.
Not without an exception that the state has made. The state has made an exception to allow the county to use what the actual historical rate would be for an existing assisted living rather than what the code calls for. We've got that approval. But it also requires a contingency plan that says that you will have in place the ability to get that required capacity.
Has the county contacted Deaner's office in Washington, Little Washington, about how to improve the capacity of our Phase 1 system?
Yeah, they have done an inspection as recently as last week, and they're not going to increase any of the capacity out there for any time soon, they said.
Is that because we have not reseeded?
And we have reseeded now, but they don't like the slope of the land. They don't like the operation there. We inherited basically a mess, and that we're trying to fix it up now. But they still, that's the reason they cut back on the capacity that used to be associated with that plant. And they have no inclination of increasing that capacity anytime soon, according to the Washington office.
All right. Okay. Next item on our agenda will be our comments from our citizens. I have one side there. Commissioners? Jack, you want to start?
Sure, glad to. Good to see everyone, and thank everyone for bringing up their points of interest and comments. I don't want to cause county manager's door to be knocked down, but on a one-to-one basis, I think there are considerable questions that can be answered that might bring some things into full light for anybody who's interested to visit him and ask those questions. And can you be open to that?
Absolutely.
And there are always risks, and there are always hard decisions to make that are inherent with doing something new, doing something different, and trying to change trends. So I just ask you to keep asking the questions, but know that that the interest of all five of these parties here as county commissioners are what's good for Gates County. Thank you for coming.
I'd like to thank everyone for coming also. Mr. Easton had a lot of good points in this conversation. We've spent a lot of money out there. Some of it has been sort of, I would say, hidden from even the commissioners. I've stayed with this because I think it's the right thing to do because of all the other stuff that's already tied to that wastewater facility. Your schools, your community center, now we have emergency management back in the old, what was the prison out there. DOT is also put to that. You have the the library that's already out there and that's hooked to it. You have the credit union and that's hooked to it. And I hope, Mr. Easton, somewhere down the line that it will be paying for itself. And I certainly hope that we can get some additional grants for some of this money that's where we've overspent or I feel like it's been overspent. You sort of look out there at what has been done and you say, where has all this money been spent? But I feel like it is something that is still what we need to move forward out there. Thank you.
I also thank y'all for coming, and I think we do need more open and frank discussions about the project there. I think that's part of the problem that we are having today because there were not frank, open discussions to begin with. I agree that we have to provide for the schools and the public library and all that, but their amount of sewage is minimum to minimum. I think we could do something, even if we had to buy a spray field, that would be cheaper than going full blast on these phases that we are. Also, I hate to say it, but every time I have built something, they give me an estimate and it's always cost me more. Now, this is what the figures are today. What will it be in 6 months? I don't know, a year. And how can, as Mr. Windley has stated, that sewer systems never make money. The best hope is to break even, but we are still, we're using the water fund. Mr. Easton was right, using the water fund to pay for it. What happens when we need to expand the water fund or the water system? I just have questions.
I too thank all of you for coming. I would love to see the courtroom filled in here, and that the whole county be represented on these discussions. As you have very openly seen today, that we have differences of opinions up here. That's why there's 5 of us. If all the opinions were the same, we wouldn't need but one person. And that is why that we have these discussions, and you will see differences of opinions. But I do appreciate all of you coming.
All right.
I would like to say one more thing, that a lot of big taxpayers are really getting concerned, and you say we can't come out with this and that and other sometimes. You need to figure out some way to be more transparent and try to explain things, or do something to, these people I'm talking about, they're out there working today, they're farming, they're running businesses, and they don't have time. And a lot of them say an awful lot to me. I remember one of the reasons because I used to be. You need to be as transparent as you can. You need to really think about, I invest my money in this product. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Easton. I thank everyone for coming as well. A lot's been said today. I can probably ditto a lot that all the commissioners have already said, but I do believe that the public that put us in office, I think we ought to consider the fact that we put the commissioners in office to make the best decisions for the county. And I think the commissioners on this board, that they do diligently look at the issues and they try to make the best decision. We've got a lot of background here, and I'd just like to say to the board, I appreciate your deliberations and your thoughts, but we do need to look at things short-term, long-term, and all the options that we have. And I think that we're trying to do that, and we're going to give the county the best that we can give them. And I believe the county will benefit from what this board decides to do as a majority. Many of the projects we've had in the past, it didn't pass on a majority, on a unanimous vote. But certainly the things that we've gotten in the past, we're pleased with them, and I foresee nothing less than for the future. Thank you all for coming. Have a great day. At this time, we'll call for a motion to, let's see, we need to go into closed session. Our county attorney is not here. Well, I think he's on vacation. I don't believe we need closed session, but I'm going to, for the safety, Ken had to step out for a minute. Let us call for a motion to go into closed session in accordance with North Carolina General Statute 143, 318, 1183, 4, and 5 and 6. And if we don't need it, we'll come out.
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion second, all in favor, aye? Aye. All opposed, nay. All right,
Short recess.
short recess. All right, we need a motion to come out of closed session.
So moved.
Second.
That's motion second, come out of closed session, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, nay. We need a motion to recess until our June 9th commissioner meeting at 1 p.m.
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion second, all in favor, aye? Aye. All opposed, nay. All right, thank you.